Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new Build Series interview. I'm very excited to introduce our next guest. The inspiring Rose Namajunas is here, guys. Make some noise. Great crowd here in New York City. Now, if you're watching at home, you want to join the conversation, just hit the button that says Ask a Question or tweet at Build Series NYC. Now, Rose is coming off an unbelievable knockout victory at UFC 217 that helped her clinch the victory, the title of strawweight champion. Now she's going to defend that title this April at UFC 223 right here in Brooklyn. Let's check out a clip of the champ in action before we bring her up. Thanks.
Facing a monster at the weigh-in, looking in the face of danger, and she's just dead face.
I know you called her enigmatic, I believe, earlier this week, and I thought it was a good adjective, but...
Rose Namajunas!
Good, new angle, step heavy right.
Let the takedown do something.
Nice one. You know, a lot of fighters, you see their punches just...
Undisputed UFC strawweight champion of the world, Rose Namajunas!
Guys, welcome. Rose is here, the champ. The champ is here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How does it feel to go back and watch that moment?
Every time I watch, any of my fights, it puts me right back in that moment. I get the jitters, and it never gets less exciting.
And you keep the belt around usually. How close is it with you at all times?
Well, it's funny that you say that because at home it stays in the closet.
Yeah, you got tucked away in a dark closet?
Yes, it is. It's like the Lord of the Rings. The ring has to be. It's very powerful. It's got this aura to it, so you got to know how to control it and keep it in the closet.
Now, how does it feel to be called the champ now? I mean, how's that feel?
It's awesome. It's definitely everything that I've worked for. Ever since meeting my fiance. Since day one, we've been on a mission to be the best in the world, and here I am. So it's awesome.
Yeah. I want to get back to day one. I mean, what inspired you to try martial arts out?
Yeah, it's just been an activity and a constant in my life when everything else was chaotic and always, changing. So it's been the one thing that I've held on to, and it's been the positive thing in my life that's kept me out of trouble. And it's only been good for me. It's taught me to control my emotions, to give me confidence in myself, and I stuck with it ever since. And it's just been a blessing to be able to make a career out of it because. Not many people get to make their passion into their career.
What did you first try out, and how old were you?
I started in Taekwondo, and I was about like 4 or 5 years old. And then that, kind of was the gateway martial art, for me, so to speak. And I just tried everything else since then. I did stick fighting, I did grappling, I did wrestling, a season of wrestling in high school, kickboxing, you name it, I did it. So, and then I met, a guy like, Pat Berry, my fiance, and then I met guys like Anthony Pettis and Eric Schaefer, who were, in the UFC at the time. It inspired me that even though not a lot of women were doing it at the time, I saw an opportunity to make it bigger.
I mean, how old were you when you made that decision? Obviously, tell me about meeting Pat for the first time.
Yeah, I was, 18 years old, just kind of, I had started kickboxing, and I went to the gym that we met at earlier on when I was like 14 years old, and I left just because I was so busy with other sports and school at the time, and so I didn't really have the full commitment. And then I came back, later on and as I got older, and yeah, that's when I met him, and I saw that he was doing it for a living instead of just a hobby. So yeah, like I said, that inspired me to do that myself.
Now, was it your own decision, or was it people telling you this is what you should be doing?
It was my own decision. I've done a lot of different sports, and fighting was ironically the only sport that I wasn't really getting serious injuries in. So I kind of used that.
That makes no sense.
I know, right? Like I was always twisting my ankles or jamming my fingers doing basketball, and just hurt my back.
You're getting more injured playing basketball than doing martial arts.
Yeah, and I love basketball, but I don't know. This is just the way my life has just kind of pushed me in this direction, and I kind of try not to go against things. Like that's one thing I learned in the last training camp is just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that meaning, like, you can do anything that you put your mind to, but sometimes you got to do, it's easier for you to do kind of where life is kind of pushing you.
I mean, tell me about the first women's match that you watched. I mean, Gina Carano, right? She was one of the inspirations.
Yeah, she definitely was. She was the first kind of like pretty face that also was like badass, at the same time. And Cyborg, she was just a scary monster. She still is. She's still at the top of her game, and it's pretty cool to see where we've come to since then. And then following up like with girls like Ronda that even took it to even more extreme heights. And yeah, it's just awesome.
How do you prepare for that first match? Tell me about that.
My first MMA fight?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I had Pat in my corner since day one, and we just back then it was a lot more sparring involved. Like I was in the beginning of my career, I had to get tough. I had to do a lot of kind of stupid training, like compared to now. Now it's a lot more technical base and game plan approach, and I do a lot more running now. Whereas back then, I had to just kind of get thick skin and brawl with people in the gym.
I mean, did you have nerves getting on that stage for the first time?
I always have nerves. It never gets easier.
Even to this day?
Yes. Yeah, it's always the fear is what is important to have, and I think it's important to be honest about it too. I think any fighter that goes in there that says they're not scared when they get in the fight is either lying or they're just playing crazy and something's wrong with them.
I mean, obviously this was a huge match, but do you have any other matches that you look back on or you'll see clips of that sort of mark a landmark in your career?
I believe that each one of my fights is like a kid or something like that for me. I don't like to play favorites. There's always something that I can draw, even from my losses. I think they're all a part of me, and each one of those memories is special. So obviously the last one was extra special, and that's kind of the last thing you remember is your last performance, and especially with everything that was going into it. It ending in 3 minutes and 3 seconds, which is the name of my gym, which is the area code in which I live in, and it means a lot to me. So that was really cool. But yeah, they're all special in their own way.
Can you talk about the training camps? Obviously, Pat's there, but I mean, how big is the team, and where are you guys going? I mean, a lot of people they'll go to the mountains, or they'll go to a city, a metropolis, or something like that. How do you set up yours?
So we have the view of the mountains, but in Denver, but definitely the most like kind of reoccurring theme lately in my career that's been successful for me is having stability in my life and making sure that if my outside life is intact and is if I work on that and making sure that that's right, then everything else will kind of fall into place. And I think family is very important. I think over communication with your team and making sure that everybody's on the same page is crucial. And so that's kind of something that I've learned. And and then I just keep growing on top of that.
I mean, when your entire life for that training camp is getting ready for a certain match, I mean, I always wonder what the day-to-day life is like, the existence. I mean, are you waking up? Is it working out? How many hours are you working out? What's that built around?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the day. It also depends on the state, my physical state or my emotional state. But generally speaking, I'm training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, take off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's kind of the formula we've had for a few hours. And some training camps we had no time limit. We just go till we feel like, just keep training until we feel like we don't train no more. And then there's been camps where we like put a real strict time limit because we have to pull it back, and we have to like preserve our bodies. So it just depends on where I'm at. And this go around, it's just constantly focusing on getting better and working towards my black belt. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm striving for.
Now, you and Joanna have been sort of on collision courses. I mean, I'm sure you've been keeping an eye on her as she has you. I mean, tell me about when you first got that match.
I thought it was cool because, you know, she's still out there talking. Still, you know, I'm really excited to put a stamp on this chapter and, you know, prove that I'm the best in the world. So, you know, she believes that this belt belongs to her and that, you know, I'm not really the champ, which, you know, I'm here to stay.
I think you proved that in the first round knockout. I think you proved that.
Yeah, I think so. You know, everybody, you know, obviously she believes that there's some mistakes maybe being made, and hopefully she's going to come into this fight the best version of herself, and I'm going to be even better.
It's amazing. You know, tell me about the UFC 217 fight when you heard that you were getting that.
When I first got the fight with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I knew it was coming. You know, I had been watching her for a long time. She had been very dominant, very impressive. And so I knew that it was only a matter of time. And when I finally got it, it was scary. You know, I always, like, you know, everything gets real serious once you get the phone call. You get what you wish for, and it's like, okay, here we go.
Who makes the phone call? I mean, is it Dana calling you or somebody on the team? Or
sometimes I'll there's matchmakers, and Mick is the one, or no, it was Sean Shelby that ended up giving me the call.
And how'd that feel when you heard that? Was it just like, okay, game on?
Yeah, it's my opportunity. You know, we have been waiting for, like I said, I had been studying her for a really long time, and you know, it was my opportunity. I knew that everything was kind of falling into place, even though, you know, the world did not believe in me. I was supposed to lose that fight, which, you know, rightfully so, just because of how good she was. But I believed in myself, and I knew that I did everything I needed to do in order to get that belt. And knowing that is going to be that much harder to take it from me because of all the crap that I had to go through.
I mean, how did you change your training technically to fight her?
For the training camp in particular to her, we ended up pulling it back a little bit. We focused on the mental aspect of things. I read this book called Fight Your Fear and Win, and that really put into perspective how my mind works and focus on changing my perspective and focusing more on the positive rather than the negative. Because if you just tell yourself, like, for example, you know, don't trip or don't fall and bust your face or something like that, your subconscious only hears positive. So all you tell yourself is like trip, you know, rather than don't trip. So that was a huge thing for me, is getting rid of the negativity going on in my own head and telling myself good things and being nice to myself.
I mean, I loved your Zen approach to working with Joanna. I mean, you know, standing as still as you did when she's putting her fist right in your face during the press conferences. Was that something you always decided on? Is that sort of a tactic you always had?
I knew that, you know, every time that I wasn't going to give her reaction, she was going to get louder and more aggressive and more in my face. So I was expecting that she was going to try and hit me or something like that. And I think that's a really important lesson for everybody to take example of, because there's a time and a place for everything. You know, we fight in the cage. We're not just, you know, actual thugs. We're just in the cage, and that's what we do. So, you know, we're trying to be professional here. So, and that can be applied to everyday life. You know, if somebody's messing with you, if somebody, you know, you feel like you're being attacked, you know, you stay calm and know yourself. And the stronger you are as a person, you try and stay positive. Don't hate that person. You know, don't fight fire with fire. You know, kill them with kindness and really be genuine about it. Don't just, you know, be fake. But yeah, to try and focus on the positive, and you can show people a different way and not be so negative.
I mean, good for you. I mean, when she actually made contact, though, when she actually hit you in the face, you know, during the press conference, was there a little bit of you that wanted to sort of react physically?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. Because I envisioned that happening, and I was actually looking forward to her trying to put something in my face and show her that that's not going to affect me. And it made me, I don't know, gave me strength.
Now, watching those face downs, I'm always wondering what she's saying. You know, she was talking a lot. What kind of stuff was she saying to you?
Most of it I blocked out, you know. Yeah, I didn't hear much of it because I had practice on, you know, just not hearing any of it. But one of the things that I think she said was, "I'm gonna F you up," and then
so very subtle. She's very subtle about
I'm
it.
gonna eat your soul and all this, heavy stuff. Yeah.
She calls herself the boogie one. I mean, she's saying a lot of sort of like aggressive stuff, and also behind the scenes, right? She played with your head a little bit.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. Yeah, she was really just trying to make it seem like, you know, trying to flip it on me, because I think people started to notice that she was kind of acting out, because normally she has the other person to kind of match her intensity, and so she doesn't look as bad. But when I was, you know, practicing peaceful, you know, trying be professional about it, it made her kind of look, you know, like aggressive, and that kind of didn't go so well with her fans. And I think she really cares about how people view her. So, you know, I think that was starting to mess with her, and she, you know, was trying to make it seem like, you know, we were being unprofessional, and really, you know, she was the one that touched me in my face. So. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I also love the look, the shaved head look. I mean, how did you decide that? How did you decide to cut it?
Yeah, it was getting in the way. I mean, I've always
very
wanted
practical,
to do it.
Very practical.
It is, yeah. It's very convenient. You know, I don't know. I've always wanted to do it, and then I kind of had the perfect opportunity, because, you know, just to juxtapose, like when I was up to fight Paige Van Zandt, it was kind of like, you know, a very marketable fight, and, you know, is this a great way to just be like, you know, screw that. It's, you know, it's going to be, I'm just going to shave my hair off against the pretty girl, you know. Even though, you know, I love Paige, she's great. But that was the moment in which I thought was a great time to do it. And it gave me the courage to do it. But, you know, I've always wanted to, and I love it.
You always wanted to?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. And the beads, too, they're a gift, right? I've heard
that. This is my friend Cassie Robb. She is supposed to, like, give you strength and courage or whatever. And, I mean, I don't know.
Apparently they're working. I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, guys, they seem to be working for her so far.
Yeah. I mean, I think it looks pretty cool, too, so. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you took the Zen sort of approach all the way to the mat. I mean, when you were walking out here in MSG, obviously it's a big city, it's a big spectacle. You know, instead of when they cut the camera to you, instead of doing a bunch of you just like sort of zenned out. You were doing some stretches, that sort of thing. I mean, is that something you took out all the way out?
It's something that I've practiced, because I do. I mean, in almost all of my fights, I start really intense. I'm really sharp and explosive in the first round. I mean, and throughout all of my fights, but definitely initially I've got this like burst of energy. I always start fast. So for me, it's all about controlling my energy and making sure that I'm at that happy medium, and balance, you know, and controlled is important.
Probably not many of us will get the opportunity to walk out on MSG in front of a crowd like that. I've been on a couple of those matches, and just the crowd is uncontrollable. I mean, it's so loud. The energy is there. I mean, how does it feel to walk out there and then get on those mats, sometimes with a couple blood stains on them? Is that something that psychs you out at all?
There's no better place to perform other than the Madison Square Garden. It's, you know, like, how can you get better than that, really? It was an honor. It's, I mean, and in terms of, you know, you're saying, like, do I get overwhelmed with the lights and, you know, all this stuff, but you just take it all in. You kind of just go with it's like a roller coaster, you know. You enjoy the ride, and just try and take the positive out of it. You know, sometimes I have flashbacks of like the lights and the canvas and certain like feelings and sensory kind of feelings that I have. I flash back to every once in a while, and like the smell of like a brand new glove takes you right back there. So, you know, it's just memories, and I'm gonna carry them with me for the rest of my life.
And music has a lot to do with it too, right? You have a lot of earbuds, you'll listen to music, and then have the walkout music. I mean, what are you usually rocking before a match?
Anything that gets me moving. You know, there's this song that I like right now. It's called Sleepy Language by Leo and Bushwacka. It's like a synth beat with like lots of crazy like bass line. I like instrumental beats that I can dance to, or shadow box or something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome, and I love the victory speech. It was amazing. I mean, is that something you always had in your head? You always wanted to get out there in such a big public forum?
Ever since I, you know, changed my motivation for fighting, and when I fought Carolina, I realized I needed to have my like spiritual side kind of like fulfilled with this fighting career, because it is such a selfish sport. We always you're always focused on your diet and making sure you're the best version of yourself, and it's important for me now to like give back and try and spread a good message of changing the world and making this world a better place, or do what you can, you know, and at least just get better every day. So that's something that's made me feel better going into the fight, and making me feel more fulfilled with you know, doing what I do. And it just so happens that fighting is just a gift that I have, and it's the best way for me to get my message out there. And so, you know, I have other talents, I have other interests in my life, so maybe one day I'll transition into something else, but for now, fighting is where it's at.
You play piano too, right? You have a couple other hidden talents out there.
Yeah, I went to high school of the arts in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it was very influential for my upbringing because, you know, we were able to have a different outlet other than math and science and things like that. So I think the arts program is very important, and it showed me, that's where I started getting into sports as well. And it showed me a different way to kind of get out of my situation and have better outlets. So, yeah, so I've done piano all my life as long as I've done martial arts, jazz and classical, and it's a great way to balance my mind from, you know, kind of destroying things to creating. Yeah.
It's a great balance of the yin and yang, actually.
Yeah.
You know, tell me about UFC 223. How are you preparing right here in Brooklyn, April? I mean, it's coming up, right? It's coming up pretty quickly. It's funny, when I put out that we were talking to you, everyone's like, she's fighting already? Already
I know.
again? I mean, do you feel that yourself?
Yeah, you know, I had some time off just to be by myself and kind of process everything. So it's not as, you know, fighting 2 times a year is like the sweet kind of balance for me. So April 7th is a perfect time for me to return. I'm healthy, getting back into training, and we've just kind of started the process, and yeah, it's gonna be a good night.
Is this the fight that you want? Is there another fight that you would like to take as well, or is this sort of the thing that you feel is right?
You know, I was kind of looking at all my different options. I don't like to just jump to any decision right away. But Joanna, I think, is the fight that everybody's most excited about. I think it's the perfect opportunity to really seal the deal. And obviously, you know, I've proved that I'm the best in the world that night, but I'm excited to do it again on April 7th.
That's awesome. I mean, can you tell me a little bit how you're going to change up the training maybe a little bit this time?
Yeah, so, I mean, there's always things that I'm getting better. I'm always getting better and trying to get my black belt and everything. And one of those things now, going into the last one, I had to work on my confidence. Now I have that. I've already beaten her. So I have that much more confidence. I'm still going to keep working on that. But now, you know, my mantra of confidence, conditioning, composure, contentment, and being a champ, now the next things I got to work on is conditioning and composure. So being the champ, having the new pressures, and having now everybody's on my side and knowing what I can do, I have to learn how to deal with that. And that's going to be the thing. That's going to be the key to victory this time, is staying composed and being very conditioned for this fight.
Well, everyone's definitely on your side. I know we all are. So let's go to some audience questions.
Hey, Rose.
Hi.
First off, congrats on winning your last fight. That was really good. I was wondering, you mentioned during your last fight that you wanted to use your status as a champion to help raise awareness for mental illness. I was just wondering, how do you plan to inspire others who are suffering that thing?
Yeah. Well, currently, I got to stay in the moment and I got to focus on my mission, and that's, win this next fight. But, right now, the best way for me to do that is to set an example. And with the last fight, I showed that, you can do things like your mental state is something that you can work on and you can improve. It's not, it's kind of like, building muscles. Just if you have weak legs, you can do squats to strengthen them. Same thing with your mind. You can do things to strengthen your mind. And one of the, like I said, a great book recommendation for anybody that's looking out there to make their mind stronger is Fight Your Fear and Win. And I think everybody can benefit from that book. And, there's other things that you can do. But going forward, after fighting, I want to make urban farming more of a thing in all cities. And I think that's something that's really good for the mind as well, to have a balanced lifestyle.
You farm during your camp, right? You make your own tomatoes and things like that?
Yeah, that was the last camp. Right now, I kind of shut down my little growing operation because I had to it got dirty or whatever, so I had to kind of start over. But yeah, that was I had a tomato ripe on the night of the fight, and it was growing throughout the entire training camp, so it was kind of cool.
That's great. Okay, next question.
Hey Rose, so you mentioned getting jitters when you look at some of the video footage. Do you ever look to see what you could have done better, or any mistakes you might have made so you can improve for the next fight, or is that helpful or not?
Yeah, there's always there's never like a perfect performance. There's always something you can improve, and yeah, I do look at that. There was maybe like a moment or two in the last fight where I was kind of like I didn't have my feet quite under me, but I was almost a flawless performance. And then yeah, there's other fights where yeah, I do look at that, but you know, that's the whole point of getting in there. Is, I mean, that would be kind of boring if every time you went in there you were perfect, you know.
That's great. Okay, one last question.
Hi. This is like a much lighter question, but as someone who's like a pro fighter, do you, when you watch like action movies, is it ever just like hard to watch fight scenes, or is
Oh man, I love bad martial arts movies. I love it. It's very entertaining. I'm trying to think of one that I recently just watched. I don't know. There's some really good ones out there. I was always a huge Jackie Chan fan growing up, so that's like my favorite.
You ever feel inspired? I mean, obviously Gina and Rhonda, you know, joining that path, getting into the movies yourself, doing acting yourself.
I've had a couple offers. You know,
Sure.
if the right opportunity presents itself, I will do that, and we'll see. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Well, I definitely watch that. Well, I'm definitely going to watch April 7th, UFC, Rose Namajunas. Guys, give her another round of applause. Thank you so much for being here.